Hola, chicos y chicas. Welcome to our class in foreign language, Spanish. In today's lesson, we're going to be talking about giving directions in Spanish, which can be extremely useful, especially when we are traveling to a new place in a Spanish speaking country. Okay. So let's proceed with our discussion. So let's first look at some vocabularies of buildings in Spanish before we proceed to directions. Okay. So we have here el edificio, or the plural would be los edificios. Okay. Repite, por favor. El edificio, los edificios. These now mean the building or the buildings. Okay. So, by the way, the English translation will not be in your PowerPoint. So, if you have your pen and paper, please do take down notes. Okay. It is also important because you are going to have your quiz. Moving on, we have the following buildings. Of course, these are not just the buildings in Spanish, but I have I have written here the most common ones and the buildings that we are also going to be using in our quiz. That is why these are some of the buildings now in Spanish. We have here first La Tienda de Música. La Tienda de Música means music store. Okay. We also have La Escuela. So this one, you know it already because it's a cognate of Filipino and English and Spanish. Okay. So La Escuela, of course, it's school. El Correo. This is now the post office. Again, El Correo is post office. Then we have La Panaderia. La Panaderia. And of course, it's familiar to us, right? That means bakery. Some of you know that already. We have El Banco. And again, that's a cognate of Filipino Spanish. That means bank. El Cine, movie theater. We also have El Cafe. El Cafe, of course, coffee shop. We have La Plaza. La Plaza. Of course, that is main square. And then we also have La Carniceria. La Carniceria. That means from the word carne, no? And of course, that means butcher shop. And then we have El Centro Comercial. El Centro Comercial, that is now the mall. Okay. Commercial shopping mall. We have now next La Joyeria. That means the jewelry shop. Okay, jewels. And then we have La Papeleria. That is now the office supply store. Okay, because papel, from the word papel, of course, office supplies. Then we have El Mercado. El Mercado is now the market. La Libreria is the bookstore. Please take note, no? La Libreria is not the library, no? But rather it's the bookstore. There's a difference between the two, right? The library in Spanish now is biblioteca. Okay, biblioteca. So let me write that down. Biblioteca. All right. So this is now the library, but la libreria means the bookstore, right? And lastly, we have El Parque. El Parque, of course, park, right? So these are now the common buildings in Spanish. Okay, so please take some time to get familiarized with those words, memorize if you must, okay? Let's proceed now to directions. So let's go over these concepts. First, to ask directions in Spanish, we use the verb estar. Okay, you remember there are two verbs of to be, that is ser, and the other one is estar. Okay, the questions follow the structure. ¿Dónde? Where? Está? And the place that you're asking. Okay, so we all know that ¿dónde means where. Now, where is? We mean to ask where is or where are. No, and we don't use ser, but rather we use estar. Okay, and the conjugation of that, no, in the third person is está for singular and están for plural. Okay, please don't forget that. ¿Dónde está el baño? If you're looking for the toilet, no? ¿Dónde está el baño? We also have example here. ¿Dónde está el hospital? ¿Dónde está el hospital? Or, ¿dónde están? Because it's plural. ¿Dónde están los bancos? Okay, so that's how you simply asked for the places, just in case you want to know where they are. Now, another important concept, you can also ask using the verb quedar. No, quedar. So that's another new verb for you guys. The questions follow the structure donde queda and then the place. The same structure as the first one, but you use quedar. And if you're going to conjugate it in the third person, you remember conjugating in third person singular, queda. Okay. It's like esta, habla. If you don't remember, please refer to module 7. Okay, go back to how we conjugate verbs in Spanish. Okay, and you will see that if we conjugate it in the third person singular, it's going to be queda, this verb with ending in AR. And if it's plural, we add AN. So quedan. No? ¿Dónde queda el baño? No, we have here again the same example. ¿Dónde queda el hospital? And if it's plural, ¿dónde quedan los bancos? Right? And lastly, a more casual question would be using the verb llegar. No? So what are the verbs that we're using? Estar, quedar, and now llegar. As in, como, llego a, and then the place. And this is now the most common phrase, no? Just in case we want to get from point A to point B and we ask someone, ¿Cómo llego a? How will I get to? That's the English translation of that. As compared to where is, where are, then technically speaking, they would be answering in English, it is behind the hospital, it is in front of the, no? But if you ask ¿Cómo llego a? ¿Cómo llego al hospital? If you're going to ask that, then it means they're going to be giving you the directions. For example, okay, you're here right now, you have to go straight, you have to go turn left and straight ahead, and that's where the hospital is. So that's a more specific way of asking, how do I get from this and this? But of course, if you ask ¿Dónde está el hospital? Then it's, of course, they would be answering, how would you get there in real life situation, right? So, one important thing before we proceed to the next slide, okay? If you can see here, al, okay, as compared to, let's say, look at these. As compared to these examples here, so ¿Dónde queda el hospital? And ¿Dónde está el hospital? But why is it here? ¿Cómo llego al hospital? Now, you have to take note again, what you're going to be using is ¿Cómo llego a? It's So there's that single letter here, a, which means to. No, it means to. So if you are going to be using this plus the article, then it would be como llego a él. Sorry again, I cannot use accent in the annotation, so please consider that as accented. A el, a el hospital. ¿Cómo llego a el hospital? So if you see this, ¿cómo llego a el hospital? Then it can be in this form. ¿Cómo llego al hospital? So you drop the E now because there are two vowels. So you drop the E and it would be ¿Cómo llego al hospital? Okay. All right. So that's only going to be with masculine. Okay. That's only going to be with the masculine article because of course feminine article is la, so you don't have to contract or remove L or A, okay? So it's only for masculine article, definite article, okay? Moving on. So just a quick brush on the prepositions of place for directions in Spanish. It's common to use place as reference to reach another. The prepositions you will need for giving directions in Spanish are junto a, which means next to. And there you can see the point that I've discussed just now, junto a la escuela, next to the school, and then junto al hotel. So it's somehow junto a el hotel, but then again, we remove the E and we just put the L next to a, junto al hotel. Okay? Detrás de is behind. Detrás de la escuela, behind the school. Detrás del hotel. Okay? So, we have here detrás de. Right? So please take note. If you use detrás, you have to use de. Okay? So detrás de la escuela, the same concept, the same principle. Detrás del, because the complete form of that is, let me write that so you don't get confused. Detrás del el hotel. So that's like that. And then you remove, detrás de el hotel. And then you remove now the E and then connect the L. So it's going to be detrás del hotel, right? And then another preposition we have en or sobre. It means on. If you want to say on the main street, then you would say en la calle central or sobre la calle central, on the main street. We have then en medio de or simply entre. It means between, okay? En medio del cine y el hotel or entre la escuela y el banco. So between the school and the bank. Okay. Between or in the middle of the movie theater and the hotel. So you have to just again look, no, en medio de, and then again el cine. En medio de el cine. So you have to, if you say it fast, del, no, en medio del cine. You don't say en medio de el cine because it sounds the same, pretty much the same. So just contract, just remove the E and connect the L. Entre la escuela. Entre doesn't have de, okay, or a, right? So we have to know where a or when to use a, when to use de, okay? And lastly, we have here frente a or enfrente de. Frente a or enfrente de. So you see the difference in medio de and frente de. So it means in front of or opposite, no? Opposite, across. Example, frente al supermercado. Frente al supermercado. Or enfrente del hospital. Because again, we have enfrente de el hospital. It becomes now enfrente del hospital. So these are some prepositions that we can use later on when we are, of course, giving directions in Spanish and we want to tell them that this building is, of course, right beside that, right behind, right next to, or is located on the main street. You can add that later on. Okay. All right. So moving on. Now let's proceed to the terms that you're going to be using. Okay. So slowly, we are getting there. We are learning the basic elements of how to construct sentences about giving directions. Okay. So we already know the buildings. We already know how to ask. We also know the prepositions. And of course, now we are going to be going over these terms, these terms for us to be able to give directions already, So we have here, a la derecha. A la derecha is to the right, okay? Again, work those pens and papers, Please write it down. A la derecha is to the right. A la izquierda is to the left, okay? Dobla a la. So dobla a la is turn to the. Now it depends, Because derecha, you already know by now, derecha means right, izquierda means left. So dobla, turn to the either right or left. Dobla a la derecha or dobla a la izquierda. Turn to the left, okay? Then we have todo recto. Todo recto means straight ahead. Go straight ahead. Hasta, until. Okay. So you can say todo recto, go straight ahead. Hasta, until. Okay. And then cruza. Cruza is to cross the street. Cruza. Detrás de, you already know that. That means behind. Entre is, of course, in between, something in between something else, entre. Delante de or enfrente de is in front of. Yeah. There's another term for that, You've learned frente a earlier, frente a. Of course, that means in front of. And then we have la avenida. La avenida is now the avenue, okay? And then la calle is now the street, okay? La avenida is the avenue and la calle is the street. Okay, those are some important terms that you need to know when giving directions specifically. Okay, are you ready? All right. So let's apply everything that we've learned so far. And we're going to use all those words or phrases and apply it here. Okay, so take note that we are not going to be using other words or phrases at this point. Okay, just because I want you all to really practice on basically giving directions using these phrases that I've discussed, that I have written in your PowerPoint. Okay, just like simply saying straight ahead, then turn to the right, turn to the left until you get to that specific street, and then turn left. The building is on the left, okay, or something like that. So we're going to be using more of this kind of basic structure and vocabulary, right? Cool. So yes, going back to this map we have here, we will try to now navigate our way from one point to another. Okay, so before we proceed to that, look at this part right here, avenidas. It's showing some arrows. Avenidas now means north and south, your north and south. And then calles are your east and west. Okay, so what I mean by that is here in the map you can see avenidas. You have two big ones and you have, I think, two small or three. Yeah, there. Three small ones. Okay, so again, these are north and south, north to south. Look at that. So we have Colon, no, Avenida Colon, Avenida Constitucion, we have Avenida Verano, Avenida Flores, and Avenida Benito. These are small ones, small avenidas, okay? Calles now are from east to west. So these ones, everything from east to west are now your streets, okay? We have Calle Cabrera, Calle Cinco de Mayo, Calle Juarez, what else? Calle Libertad, Calle San Juan, Calle Morelos, and here in this block, you have Calle Libertad, again, the same street here, Calle Reforma, Calle Garcia. Okay, so this is now the difference between avenida and calle. Okay. Now, the stars that you see here, the stars here, please think of it as the doors. No, for example, the doors where we are all coming out here. So we come out from here and then we start navigating our way. Okay, for example, dobla ala our left, a la izquierda. We have to turn to our left. So dobla a la izquierda. So that's it. These are the doors. All right. Now we are going to cite a scenario. We are going to have a scenario here. Please listen carefully. This is really important for your quiz. For instance, we're coming out of the movie theater. Let's start from here. Movie theater. And now we want to go to the jewelry shop. Okay. So we want to go to the jewelry shop. So what are we going to do? First, we have to, if you have some maps, it's always nice to begin with drawing. No, you draw your path. Okay. So this, as I've said, this is now the door. We draw our path here. So we want to go to the jewelry shop, which again in Spanish it is la joyería. Okay. We can have two options, but let's try to go here. Okay. From here, let's take this street. Then we go there. We cross. Okay. And then there. And then that's the door to the jewelry shop. So this is what we want to take. This is the path that we want to take. Then now, how do we say it in English? Okay. In English, let's say you are at the movie theater. Yeah. And then we turn to the right, because we just went out. We turn to the right on Benito Avenue. Okay, so that's an avenue, Benito Avenue, until San Juan Street. That's the San Juan Street. And then we turn to the left. Okay, we turn to the left on San Juan Street, straight ahead. We go straight ahead until we reach the Constitution Avenue. Okay, of course, we have to cross. Okay, we have to cross now. Okay, we have to cross the Constitution Avenue, and then we now turn to our left again. We turn to the left and then straight ahead of Constitution Avenue until you get to the Reforma Street. Till here. So we get to the Reforma Street, then we turn to the right. Okay, turn to the right on Reforma Street. Okay, straight ahead. Don't forget that, straight ahead on Reforma Street until you get to the Verano Avenue. Okay, and then we turn to the left on Verano Avenue. And then we would say the building on the left is the jewelry shop. Okay, so as simple as that. It sounds a lot, right? That's how it would sound in English and how I want you to give the direction. Okay. How do we say that in Spanish? How do we say that in Spanish? Now, we would say estoy. Okay. Estoy. No, you would say estoy. I am at a certain place. Estoy en el cine because we're here. Estoy, remember? So, estoy en el cine. And then, what do you want to do now? I am at the movie theater. Dobla, we turn now to the right. Dobla a la derecha hasta la calle de San Juan. Okay, until San Juan Street. Here. Okay. And then what are we going to do now? Okay. We turn again. Dobla a la izquierda. Turn to the left. Y todo recto hasta. Remember what todo recto is? Todo recto straight ahead until what now? Constitución. What is this again? Avenue. Okay. Okay. Hasta Avenida Constitución. Right? So we're here. Then we have to cross the avenue. What are we going to do? Cruza la avenida, sorry, Constitución. Okay? So we cross. And then cross and then turn to the left. Okay, so dobla a la izquierda y todo recto. Turn left and straight ahead hasta we stop here. La calle Reforma. And then from here, we turn right. Okay, so dobla a la derecha. Dobla a la derecha. And you can say en la calle Reforma. Right? Y todo recto hasta la avenida Verano. Okay, you're still with me? And then we're here. We turn now to the left. Dobla a la izquierda. En la avenida Verano. We turn to the left. And then we can say el edificio está a la izquierda. The building is on the left. This is now what I want you all to learn and study and how I want you to give directions. Okay, please go over it and practice with other locations. And again, prepare for a quiz next meeting. Okay, so you can practice, but just remember again that you'll be coming out of these doors facing that side. If you're coming from El Cafe here, then you have to turn right if you want to go to Constitucion and turn left in this direction. Okay, going out, going out. Please practice. No, you can also try to practice and send me your own navigation. That's it for today. Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll see you all next meeting. Hasta pronto. Nos vemos. Ciao.